The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. Every day, your mind asks thousands of questions. Most of them happen so quickly you never notice them. Why did they say that? What if I fail? Why does this always happen to me? What if I'm not enough? What if things never change? The remarkable thing is that your brain doesn't spend much time deciding whether those questions are helpful. It simply starts looking for answers. That's how we're wired. Ask your mind a fearful question, and it will search for evidence to support your fear. Ask it a hopeful question, and it will begin looking for possibilities instead. The quality of your life isn't determined solely by the answers you find. It's determined by the questions you choose to ask. Your mind is always looking for evidence. Think of your mind as a search engine. Type in the question, why am I such a failure? Without realizing it, your brain begins collecting evidence, past mistakes, embarrassing moments, missed opportunities. It ignores much of the success you've had because that wasn't the assignment. Now, ask a different question. What have I overcome that I once thought I couldn't? Suddenly, your mind searches a completely different library. It remembers challenges you survived, skills you developed, relationships you strengthened, growth you almost forgot. The question changed. So did the evidence. Some questions keep you stuck. There are questions that create movement, and there are questions that create prisons. Questions like, why me? Why do I always attract the wrong people? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get anything right? These questions feel productive because we're thinking, but many of them simply keep us circling the same emotional neighborhood. Not every question deserves your attention, especially if it keeps leading you to the same dead end. Better questions create better possibilities. This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means becoming intentional about where your attention goes. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Try asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why don't they appreciate me? Ask, am I giving my energy to people who are capable of appreciating me? Instead of, what if I fail? Ask, what if I surprise myself? One question searches for limitations, the other searches for opportunities. Curiosity is more powerful than judgment. Judgment closes the conversation. Curiosity opens it. When we judge ourselves, we stop exploring. I'm just bad at relationships. I'm not creative. I've always been anxious. Those become conclusions, and conclusions rarely invite growth. Curiosity asks something different. What experiences shaped this belief? Is this actually true? What evidence might I be overlooking? What would happen if I approached this differently? Curiosity creates room for change. Questions you ask yourself become your inner voice. Many people believe their inner voice simply exists, but much of it is built from repeated questions. If every day you ask yourself whether you're enough, your inner voice will eventually begin sounding like a constant performance review. If every day you ask yourself how you can grow, your inner voice becomes something entirely different. It becomes a coach instead of a critic. The conversation you have with yourself quietly becomes the relationship you have with yourself. Choose that conversation wisely. Sometimes the best question has no immediate answer. Not every meaningful question can be answered today. Some require patience, healing, experience, time. Questions like, who am I becoming? What truly matters to me? What kind of life do I want to build? Those answers unfold over years, not hours. But asking them changes how you live long before you answer them. Your questions shape your decisions. Every decision begins with a question. Should I stay? Should I speak up? Should I take the chance? Should I forgive? Should I let go? The better the question, the wiser the decision. Sometimes we become so focused on making the right choice that we forget to examine the question that led us there. The quality of your decisions rarely exceeds the quality of the questions behind them. Life changes one question at a time. Personal growth isn't usually the result of one life changing answer. It's the result of asking better questions over and over again. Questions that challenge assumptions. Questions that invite courage. Questions that replace fear with curiosity. Questions that move your attention away from blame and toward responsibility. Every meaningful change in your life likely begins with a simple question. What if? Why not? Could there be another way? Ask the questions that move you forward. You don't need to have every answer today. None of us do. But you can become more intentional about the questions you're asking yourself. Ask questions that build wisdom instead of shame. Questions that encourage growth instead of fear. Questions that create possibility instead of limitation. Because your mind will always search for answers. The only question is whether it's searching in the right direction. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. So ask yourself the kind of questions that help you become the person you're capable of becoming. Slay reflection. S. See your questions. What question do you ask yourself most often? Is it helping you move forward or keeping you stuck? L. Look for a better question. How could you reframe one recurring question into something more empowering? A. Ask with intention. What question would encourage growth instead of reinforcing fear or self doubt? Why? Your next step. This week, notice one limiting question you ask yourself and intentionally replace it with one that opens the door to possibility. Call to action. Join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. What is one question that changed the way you see yourself or your life? Share your story in the comments. Your perspective may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you know someone who could use this reminder, send this to them. Sometimes all we need is a better question. I'm Carrie Genzel, reading a blog from stateofslay.com. Slay on.